Right. Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. So my talk is this mathematical model of perception. And give me just a second so that I can start the slideshow. So here's something just to get you guys a little bit out of this, because probably when you go into it, you're going to say like, I want to go into break now. Take one hand here, one fist, take another fist right next to you, and put them together. This is an average how big your brain is. This structure here, that is how big your brain is. And so you have to ask yourself, this little thing here, can it really perceive all of reality? This little thing here, it's not very small. So the big question that I'm going to be talking about today is, why can't we see or feel the divine realms, right? That's a big question, especially for Hare Krishnas. We go to the moon, you know, where's that beautiful water world that we hear about? So what I'm going to do here, Laura talked about constructive theories, right? So in another way to talk about is phenomenological theories. That is what I'm going to give you, like just a brief framework. This is how we could go about it. It's not a formal theory. It's more like, if we want to go into this, this is how we can do it. Because to go into it is going to take a lot of years. So this is just the beginning. Stay tuned. Warning, there is math ahead. So when you see it, don't cry. Okay, let's start with this. The Vedic science describes things at a high level modeling. You know, it talks to us about cats, and it talks about fire, air, ether, you know, like things that we can perceive directly with our senses. But quantum mechanics describes things at a low level modeling, quarks and protons and all of these things that we can't. So it is like, especially for people in the IT world, you have the low level language, in which is like zeros and ones, right? And you have the high level, which is like, for example, this programming, you know, Python and all of these others. So we have very complicated theories down here and at the low level language. Can we create one at a higher level language? So in quantum mechanics, generally we talk about a state vector describing the system. That is this K, and we have operators that interrogate that system. You know, what's going on with that system, like energy or momentum. So we need these operators to interrogate our high-level characteristics of the time-metric fields. Let's start with just the very basics. We have a field. What is a field? A field basically, you know, you have a quantity that is assigned at every single point in space. So here we have a temperature field, right? Probably in Florida, it's not so hot right now, but you know, what this shows is, I can give a value. You know, here it may be like right now, I don't know, like high 70s or something like that, and over there it's you know, like that, maybe 30s or something like that. So at every single point in space, I can give a number. That is what a field is. Now, let's talk about other types of fields. So in quantum mechanics, let's see. Can you see my cursor here? Okay, good. So we have an electron field, for example, right? And the values, you know, like the pluses and the minuses, those are the electrons or the positrons. So when we talk about an electron field, is a field that has a value at every single point in space-time, right? But in here, when I give when I say it's 0, that means that there's nothing there. If there is something positive, then it's like, okay, a positron, and if it's negative, it's like an electron. And in general, what we say when physicists talk about the fields, they say like we have all of these different fields right here that are there's an electron field, there's a positron field, photon field, quark field. All of these fields are together happening in the same space. Okay. Now, maybe some of you recognize this. These are the elements of Sāṅkhya. There's the tanmatras: sound, touch, form, taste, and odor, right? And you have the mahabhutas: space, air, fire, water, and earth. And we hear how when sound and space combine together, you get the touch, a tanmatra. When touch and air combine, you get the form. When form like that, all the way up to odor and earth, right? So Vaisheshika says that only the Vaisheshika theory, not Vaisheshika Prabhu, says that earth, water, fire, and air, they have atoms, right? And so we could think of maybe these tanmatras, these sound, touch, form, taste, and odor, as fields that are creating these mahabhutas of earth, water, fire, and air. They're creating, these are the particles of the tanmatras. Everybody with me so far? Okay, good. Okay, we're going through here. Now, there's something very interesting called spontaneous symmetry breaking. Can everybody say spontaneous symmetry breaking? Okay, that was my, but anyway, good. We have that in the beginning of time. It is believed that just after the Big Bang, things started to cool down. And as temperature started to cool down, then gravity broke away. And then strong force broke away, and then weak force and electromagnetic force. This is very suggestive of this previous thing that I talked about, isn't? It's very, very suggestive. So we get, it just gives like a little bit more impetus to say, like, let's explore this further. So now, okay, here we go. I told you, I warned you. So for the touch tanmatra, we're going to talk about touch tanmatra, this big T here, right? And we're going to interrogate a system, this K. And when we do a whole bunch of magic, black magic, we end up at the end with this expected value, which is omega K. And this will basically tell you that this is the subjective experience that we feel. Basically, this will be our, when we interrogate with the touch tanmatra on the state K, we will get that omega K, which is the subjective experience of temperature or texture. How hot is it? How rough is it? How smooth is it? There we go. Okay. Now, with this, we can think about a whole sound field, where at every single point in space, right, we have a measurement of sound, or a temperature field in which every single point in space there's a temperature assigned to it. This is what our senses are picking up. We are picking up temperature. We're picking up a sight. We're picking up sounds, and we're creating this reality around us. That is what the tanmatras are doing for us. Now, okay, more equations of motion. We have to talk about it, especially for Kalasvaru Prabhu that wanted some Lagrangians here. So in the equations of motion, this first term right here, the one before the minus, right? That is called a kinetic term. And it describes how fast we can perceive the change in the field. And this second one, that between the minus and the plus, This second one is called a mass term, and it describes how easy or how hard it is to change the field. Now, are you starting to get the idea of how important these terms are to be able to talk about our field? And then there are interaction terms. I won't go into them, but well, I will go into them. These interaction terms include, or they model, they can include or they can model something like synesthesia. Does anybody know what synesthesia is? What is synesthesia?
It's experience of one sense in another sense.
Okay, everybody online heard that? Okay, great. You did a great job. Yes, it's when you experience one sense with another sense. So in this interaction terms, that's what we can do. We can talk about the different senses mixing with each other. Oh, like you can hear something and like notes, and you can actually see colors. So you can see the C note or the D note, or D sharp, like that, in different colors. So that is synesthesia. And this is what I'm going to get into that is to me a little bit more interesting, and is the interaction of the mind, the manas, and the buddhi, the intellect. What happens when we have the mantra, the tanmatras interact with the buddhi, with the intellect? So it has been noted by experiments like the pair experiments, the remote viewing, etc., that trying to define what something is or what is not leads to a classical result. As soon as the first thing they tell you is don't, when you're doing remote viewing, is don't try to figure out, oh, what am I seeing here? No, just let it come. Let the pictures come. Don't judge. Don't judge. Let it just come to you, right? Because as soon as you try to judge, as soon as you try to say, what is this, like that, immediately that's the buddhi. And that one will collapse everything. So here's a hypothesis. And it's just a hypothesis. Measurement, definition, acquisition of information are actions of the buddhi, and they collapse the wave function. As soon as we try to measure something, immediately it will collapse the wave function, and everything will become classic, what we see in the world. But if we don't do that, then here's the hypothesis, that desire and will, which comes from the manas, the emotive mind, they can shift the probabilities of these tanmatric fields. And so we're going to use a mathematical model of the buddhi that I used previously, if you were with me a couple of years ago, where I showed accrual of information leads to decision making. Let me explain a little bit more what that is. So if there has been in the economics and people in psychology, they created this thing called the leaky competitive accumulator. So to the graph on my right here, you will see that this model, you have three choices, right? Choice 1, choice 2, and choice 3. And there is this is the time axis, right? And what this model does is that with time, you start accumulating, you start accruing evidence. And some of the choices, you start thinking like, oh, this is a better choice, or no, that's a worse choice. And so they start going higher or lower until it's at a certain point. Do you see this line here? This is a threshold line. When one of them finally crosses, that's when you say, okay, I'm going to buy that house, right? Or there, I'm going to marry this person. Now, as you can see, the choice can then go back down, but at least at that point, you made the decision. You made the decision at that point, right? Oh my God. So we're talking about here how the buddhi collapses the wave function. So what we can say is that the accrual of information leads to the collapse of the wave function when a threshold is reached. When you accrue enough information with the buddhi, you hit that threshold and you make a decision and you collapse the wave function. Now, the manas manipulates the tanmatras. If you keep that buddhi to the side, the manas, the emotive mind, can be seen as an operator that changes the expected value. So again, more math here. Previously, this omega k was the only thing that you got. Remember that? It was the experience. Now you have another term here that it's a small effect, but it has this t next to it, which means that in time it can accrue. It can accrue more and more. So by the time that the buddhi collapses, if you've left it long enough, now you have a non-classical result. Now you have something that is different from what you would expect normally. We can put the influence of the gunas so that we can look at how the yogis manipulate those tanmatras better. I did something like this previously in work. You can ask me later, but here's the thing: how we can perceive the other realms. And with this, I will finish. If we're perceiving other realms, there are different ways in which we can think about perceiving other worlds. Maybe it's a different dimension, maybe like that. If it is the case, and here's just a hypothesis, if it is the case that it is due to a shift in your perception, in your guṇa range, right? Then this will help in the following way. What we have here to the right is basically the Milky Way galaxy. And you're looking at it in different wavelengths. So you have the visible wavelength. You have here, down here in the radio waves. Up here, you have the X-ray. Do you see how different the Milky Way looks like? It's the same thing, but you just shifted your wavelength. How much you can perceive. Is it in the gamma ray X-rays here, or is it in the infrared? It's very, very different. Your perception of that will be very different. So what we're saying is, what if you get not just the wavelength of light, but you get your gunas and you shift them, right? You shift them. Then you will see a totally different reality. Not only will you see it, but you will also touch a different reality. You will hear another reality. You will taste a different reality. It will be different. It's the same room, but now there is no room. Right? And we can say that the touch tanmatra, remember that touch, now it includes the sattva, rajas, and tamas. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now it includes that. So now in this graph, if up here you have like sattva, here you have rajas, and down here you have tamas. So goodness, passion, and ignorance. And let's say that my state of being is down here, this red dot. Here's where I am. And the beautiful realms of the moon are up here, right? Notice that there's this big difference. There's this deltas in sattva, rajas, and tamas, right? So now we can actually put it into an equation here, saying like, okay, this is the omega k, my experience, right? And it's going to be modulated by this other term that includes that difference in the sattva, rajas, and tamas. So now we have a way of beginning to talk about, in a more scientific way, about how yogis are able to perceive those realms by shifting their sattva, rajas, and tamas. Basically taking this red dot and shifting it up closer to this other place. Thank you very much.
Sorry, that was fascinating, but we don't have any time for questions.
But it finished exactly.
But he finished right on time. I know. That's how it starts.